Not to go today. Our backup window will be tomorrow at 6:17 a.m. Right now, the rocket's getting ready to launch, so let's listen into those countdown nets as we approach just under T-minus 2 minutes.
Falcon 9 is on internal power.
Ja. Die hebben dat gezegd. Of oxygen of zo misschien. Dat is normaal.
Vehicles in self-align.
Ja. Nee, ja, dat is een pressurizer. Hier ga je fout volgens mij.
Gas loads are closed down.
Ik vind dat ook echt cool, man. Maar Jacob wil bij SpaceX werken, hè? Ja, daar zitten zelfs Indonesië daar. Ik kan daar gewoon werken hoor, Russen ook, hè? Je weet toch, onze richting kan naar SpaceX gaan, hè?
Falcon 9 is in start.
Oké, the Falcon 9 flight computer have taken control of the content. Oh cool, ze hebben launch, startup, liftoff, max Q, main engine cut-off, fairing deploy, second stage, start engine, payload deploy.
LD, go for launch.
Holy shit, dat kan een kwartier duren, hè? Hoe beest is dat? Dat is eigenlijk echt fucking rap eigenlijk.
T-minus 30.
Maar hoe nemen ze dat? Ik hoop dat dat van in de ruimte gaat. Ah ja, camera. GoPro'tje. GoPro'tje.
20.
Oh, het gaat beginnen. Het gaat beginnen. Ja.
15.
Falcon 9 is configured for flight.
10.
9, 9,
9.
8,
8.
7,
7.
6,
6.
5.
5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Liftoff.
Het ziet er precies als een nuke uit. Maar dat is midden in de nacht, hè? Ah, rip ahead van users. Speed! Check hoe snel die gaat. Nee, wel, nee. Nee, want dit is voor in de atmosfeer.
You are watching the Falcon 9 as it descends through the atmosphere carrying the POTH satellite.
Die gaan een satelliet plaatsen, 2 satellieten of 3. Tegelijk en dan komt hij terug.
Right now the rocket is approaching what we call max Q. This is the point at which the aerodynamic forces in the rocket are at the greatest. Falcon 9 actually throttles itself down as it passes through max Q and then throttles back up once we're through it.
Mooi man. Nee, Falcon 9 is gonna experience max Q or maximum dynamic pressure. Nee, is er nog steeds. Ja, de main engine is nog steeds bezig, hè. Main engine cut-off duurt nog misschien een minuut of 2.
We just passed through our maximum aerodynamic pressure, max Q. That Falcon 9 rocket is now throttling back up to full speed as it ascends through the atmosphere. As that first stage ascends higher and higher through the atmosphere,
Ja, dan check die
ambient
feiten al
air
nu.
pressure starts going further and further
Dat lijkt
down.
op een octobus
so you can see
of
those
zo.
exhaust gases getting bigger and bigger on your camera screen right now. In about 20 seconds, we're going to be passing through what we call MECO, which is main engine cutoff. That's when that first stage is going to complete its burn. Shortly after that, we'll have stage separation, and then second engine start, SES-1. Let's watch that happen now.
Dat zie je. Ja, nu is cut-off, nu is cut-off. Cut-off is nu aan de gang.
Give Miko.
Hey, camera! Ja. De main engine gaat nu terug landen.
You just saw it on your screen. That was a good MECO, main engine cutoff. a good separation of that first stage, and then what appears to be a successful second engine start 1. Stand by for fairing deploy. And you just saw it on your screen. That was a successful fairing deploy.
De satellietvlieg nu.
You can see the fairing falling down below the second stage on your screen right now.
Dat duurt eigenlijk echt niet lang, 3 minuten en het zit al in de ruimte.
Attempting to recover this fairing.
Vroeger was het echt lang, hè? Nu, wow joh. Technologie, I love it.
On your screen right now, you can see the Merlin Vacuum D engine nozzle. This is a radiatively cooled engine nozzle, meaning that it vents the heat from those hot exhaust gases by radiating that energy. You can see it glowing red hot, burning that energy away. For those of you down in Southern California, you might get a good glimpse of those exhaust gases as the second stage accelerates. Looked like a nice
South Carolina kan dat zien dus. Wacht, we zitten al 200 kilometer in de lucht. Ja, nee, 10.000. Ik weet het. Ja. In de ruimte kan het nog sneller gaan, hè. Kan 30 gaan, hè.
As the second stage ascends higher and higher into orbit, let's talk a little bit about exactly what orbit we're going to today. This is a low Earth orbit, polar sun-synchronous orbit. Low Earth orbit refers to the height of the orbit above the Earth, so things such as the International Space Station are also in low Earth orbit, but they orbit more along the equator, which is what's called a low inclination orbit. A polar orbit circles vertically about the Earth with respect to its poles, so that it passes over the north and the south poles. This is the orbit we're going to today. Certain types of polar orbits, like this one, a sun-synchronous orbit, keeps the orbit's plane directly in line with the sun. This allows any satellite that's in a sun-synchronous orbit to see all points of the Earth from exactly the same lighting conditions as illuminated by the sun. This is extremely useful for imaging applications, which would be the POTH spacecraft's primary intended purpose.
Deze is low orbit, dat is gegaan, hè. Naast de Noordpool.
Low Earth orbits only require a single burn, so we won't be having a coast phase or a second engine start 2, like we would normally have for geosynchronous Earth orbit launches.
Ze botst zo tegen het IS, BAM! ISS kapot. Triggered. Lijkt op een ovale ei.
For those of you just joining us, we did have a successful liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket at exactly 6:17 a.m. Pacific time from Space Launch Complex 4 at Vandenberg Air Force Base. Shortly after that, the first stage completed its job and separated from that second stage. We're currently watching the second stage as it continues its first burn.
Ja, maar dat is nog niet helemaal rond als het meeste rondste.
And accelerating that POTH spacecraft to a low Earth orbit.
Ja, maar ze zeggen zelf dat dat nog niet helemaal rond mogelijk is.
Plus 8 minutes and 58 seconds. That's when that second engine cutoff is going to happen, also known as SECO.
Er zal nooit een perfect
Right now you can
vliegtuig
see the
zijn, nooit.
curvature of the Earth just behind that Merlin Vacuum D engine nozzle.
En deze hebben allemaal te denken aan Nazi Germany. Ja, die hebben de eerste raket gemaakt, hè. Je weet toch, die wetenschappers hebben meegeholpen met een NASA, hè.
Dus
eigenlijk hebben die te danken aan Nazi Duitsland, hè. Ah, hoe erg is dat? Nee, dat was nog steeds Duitsland waarschijnlijk gewoon, hè. Die wetenschappers zijn kapot slim. De meeste slimste Duitsers... Bij de meeste wetenschappers in NASA waren alleen maar Duitsers, hè. Einstein, geweldige man.
As we burn fuel in that second stage, the second stage actually gets lighter and lighter, but the engine thrust remains the same. So in order to keep a constant acceleration on the second stage and its payload, we actually throttled that Merlin vacuum engine down towards the end.
weet
We're
niet
getting
hoeveel,
close
bij
towards
mij
the
is
end of the
redelijk
burn
hoog.
right now, so that throttle down is beginning.
Die is boven het gemiddelde. 20. Nu. Maar wist je dat IQ steeds maar daalt?
Coming up next in
Niet
about
eng
40
eigenlijk als je
seconds is
erover
going to be
nadenkt.
SECO, second engine cutoff.
Weet je niet?
That second stage Merlin vacuum engine is going to
Goh,
shut off, having
snap ik wel als je
completed its
naar sommige
primary
mensen
burn.
kijkt.
And then a minute after that,
En
or 2
boos.
minutes after that, we're going to have payload separation.
Ik denk dat hij
stand by
30
for
kan,
SECO
30
in
sowieso
about
meer 30.
20 or 30
Maximum is
seconds from
30, dat is daar rood. Hij heeft bijna zijn maximale hoogte bereikt. Second stage engine cut-off en dan payload deploy. Chick, dat duurt maar 10 minuten man. What the fuck? Maar die horen ons niet hè?
And 30, yes, is safe.
Maar YouTube zelf. Ah, engine off. Uh-oh.
Yeah, Seco 1.
And you just saw it on your screen, that was a second engine cutoff right there. The second stage has now completed its burn, and that's Merlin vacuum engine.
En net geen
off.
30 kilometer per uur, 30.000.
We just got confirmation of a good orbit. That means that we have reached the intended low Earth orbit point.
Kijk, dat is gewoon heel de aarde rondgegaan. Holy shit,
Right
we weten
now,
niet eens
the
over mijn
primary
huis.
payload, that POTH spacecraft, is still attached to the top of the second stage by way of a payload adapter fitting. It has some locks and some springs. In about 1 minute and 30 seconds from now, those locks are going to release, and the springs will give the POTH satellite
Kijk, die
a gentle
kant.
push away from the top of the second stage, so that it can begin its own journey into low Earth orbit. We are now 1 minute away from that payload deploy. Like we were saying earlier, we're going to be having or hopefully we'll have a view from the top of the second stage looking at the POTH satellite as it deploys. You may see on the sides of the spacecraft, you're going to see 2 extra things. Those will be the SpaceX demo satellites. We'd love to give you footage of those deploying too, but unfortunately, the second stage will be passing out of ground station coverage before those satellites deploy. So we're just going to be covering that primary payload POTH satellite deployment.
Hoe zitten ze eigenlijk chats uit, want dan kunnen ze donations ontvangen. Mensen zouden echt keiveel doneren.
Stand by for deployment in about 10 to 15 seconds.
Dus dan ziet hij zo, dankje, little dick voor 300 euro. It's good for us. Oh, het is gedeployed. Jawel. Ja, nu deployen normaal. Ja. Oh, geweldig.
And there you can see it. That looks like a successful separation of the payload of the POTH satellite.
wel
You can see the
dat er zo
SpaceX
keidroeg
demo
uitkomt.
satellites to the left and right of the payload adapter fitting, but the primary payload is right now gliding away from that
En nu
second
gaat het
stage.
toch normaal landen
Soon
nu?
it will unfurl its own solar panels and start communicating with the ground teams. So right now, this is going to bring an end to our webcast coverage. For those of you who just joined us, we had a successful launch from Space Launch Complex 4, successful stage separation, and a good second engine burn. And then finally,
Dat is
just
precies
now,
zo'n
a
nieuwslezer
good
van sport,
separation
maar nu
of that
voor alleen
POTH
raketten.
satellite. I'd like to thank the customer POTH and ISDASAT for allowing us to launch their payload to low Earth orbit today. I'd like to thank the Air Force and the Range and the FAA for their support of today's launch. And of course, you, the viewers, for waking up bright and early on this Thursday morning to watch the Falcon 9 launch. Unfortunately, we can't bring you coverage of those SpaceX demo satellites. We don't have ground station coverage to show you.
Ik heb het op ontslagen.
But you can follow us on social media for updates on the demo
Elon
sets
Musk is
and their
uit
mission.
Afrikaans, hè?
If you'd like to come work for us, please check out
Dus ik kan gewoon Nederlands.
spacex.com/careers.
Ja,
Yet
deels.
again,
Hij kan wel
thanks
shit
for
verstaan.
letting us
vind
share
je
this
niet zo?
Falcon 9 launch with you, and have a great rest of your day.